class, I didn't hit record.
Oh.
So at the end, I'm like, oops. And my TA didn't notice it unless he did.
Oh, this is what I want. I want to make you host again. Okay.
And I will remember to record this time. Monday morning, first thing, I guess.
Right?
Wasn't into my groove yet. It's written here in front of me. It's like I couldn't, can't miss it. Welcome, everyone. Turn on recording.
Right?
Oh, I got into a long conversation with one of the learners. That's right. We were talking at length about Chicago. I forget. That's right.
Oh.
That's my excuse. I mean, there was always no excuse.
Who knows? Yeah, I've always noticed your guitar over your shoulder. I've got a guitar over my shoulder.
I got an acoustic. Actually, you can't see, but just almost out of my arm's reaches. I've got an electric, and I have another guitar upstairs. I have probably as many guitars as I should own, because if I had 4, I wouldn't know which one to play. No, I'll play this one. No, that one hasn't been played. No, that one, better go play that one. So I grabbed this one in between classes just to, get my mind somewhere else.
Awesome. All right.
We got someone joining already.
Hi.
Hi, Wee. How are you?
Fine. Thank you. Thank you.
Now, is that a real background that you've got and you've just blurred it?
Blurred. Yeah.
That's interesting. I like that thought, because I'm not a virtual background guy, but I want to set up another place in my home to do classes, but I would like a blurred background for that place. That's very good.
Actually, this is one of the feature Zoom had, but a newer version of Zoom. Yeah.
Very good.
Thank you.
Now let's see. I wonder if I have a TA today, Joanne. Do you know?
I believe you were supposed to.
Yeah, there was one in the first class. He joined a little late, and then I have this class is more people. This had like 39 signed up or something like that.
Oh, really? So I'm too early?
Oh, don't worry about it. You're early, but you're not too early. There were 39 people signed up when I launched the class. So that's a lot. They don't all show. We don't fully understand why our fill rate is less than everybody that signs up. The classes vary. My theory is that people that sign up early may forget about it or change their mind. And the people that sign up later, remember, there's probably people who will come into this. Well, I was going to say there might be people from the last class, but I don't think so. I told them I was doing Google Docs at 12:30.
And there is no TA in this class.
That's fine.
But I did get a message yesterday, so that's a good reminder.
Good. Yeah. Well, something that we'll do in the future, which will help, is we will. They're constantly improving the website, and there'll be a point where learners will be able to get notifications from when guides are doing new classes. So I'll be doing a series of classes, over like 8 weeks, and they're not like sequential, but they're all on travel or something like that. And you'll get a notification that Russ is going to do the next travel class Tuesday evening on this topic. So if you were in it last week and you didn't sign up, Tuesday evening, 7:00, I'm free. I think I'll go to that class. So
right. And I understand this is a basic for a Google Doc. But
this is a basic.
You're going to have a middle or advanced?
I don't have a middle and advanced, but if you'd like one, please, you'll get an email at the end of this class when it's over, and you'll have a chance to give feedback. Give the feedback there. Please, can you do an advanced docs class? Because I also teach Word. We haven't scheduled that class yet, but I'll do Microsoft Word. I do Microsoft Excel. I will say one thing about this class, and as everyone's joining, hey, welcome everyone. I'm having a quick conversation with Wee here while you all are joining in. I like to teach the class. Every class I do is always taught to the needs of the learner. So what I'm going to ask actually all of you to do right now is to put in the chat up to 3 things you'd like to learn today. Doesn't have to be 3. You can put in 1, but you can if you put in 4 or 5, it'll be too many, but up to 3 things you'd like to learn today. And if I see a whole bunch of people want to know the same thing and I wasn't thinking of teaching it, well, I'll stop a minute and teach it. This is basics, shows you how to get into Google Docs and create them. I also do a Google Sheets and a Google Slides, and Sheets and Slides are conceptually similar to Google Docs. So what I mean is once you're into a Google app like that, they're kind of similar with each other. You're maybe creating a spreadsheet or a slideshow, but it's a lot of the same stuff with formatting and saving and naming. So what we might do then is create an advanced Google Apps class for some of these, and I can show you some of the advanced features in all of them at once because they're similar. So I'm greeting Susan with the Golden Gate in the background, and I think I've had Susan in another class before. Yeah, it's because I remember the Golden Gate. I once had a class, listen to this, where a woman had the Golden Gate, but in clouds as her background. And she was on the class. She was zooming in from an iPad and she was walking around the house and she was kind of bobbing up and down in the clouds. And I felt like I was getting airsick watching her go in and out. It was like, whoa, I can't watch her anymore. Anyway, I've welcome to Susan and welcome to Joyce and Betty. And I've got Shirley and Cindy and Laverne and Lydia, and hi, Emily. Emily Chu, I just saw a few minutes ago. And Marguerite, Joanne, Ramsey. Yes, I know Joanne from several classes. Hi, Mary. Hi, Denise. Hi, Josie, Sharon, Rachel, Vanessa. That is it so far. And I've asked anyone who's coming into the class today, if you would please put in the chat today, what up to 3 things you'd like to learn. And I'll check through that chat here in a minute, and I'll come around to it later and see if there's anything else I can show you, because there's a lot of stuff I can show you. Can't squeeze it all into 45 minutes, or I mean, right now it's 45 or 50 minutes worth of stuff. We'll see what we can squeeze in. And everyone's always at different levels. So for some people, what I'm teaching today may be too fast, and for some people it'll be too slow. So I'll try to make sure I hit right down the middle so everyone's at least feeling adequately covered. So up to 3 things you can put in the chat, all that you'd like to learn, put in the chat now. And then during the class, if you have a question, you can put it in the chat. I also pause occasionally, say, now, any questions for anything I've shown you so far? And don't hesitate to ask me to show you something again. Please remember that there are no stupid questions. There's no silly questions or stupid questions. I am a person who learns mostly by trial and error in life. I was the youngest kid in the family and I was by myself alone a lot. So I had to just figure stuff out on myself a lot. And as I grew up, even though I could ask other people stuff, I was so used to doing things myself. Not an ideal thing to do to build a house by trial and error. It's a little bit too complicated. You want to get that foundation right the first and only time. But the fun thing about Google Docs or applications on computers is you can play around with them as long as you don't blow up your computer, and you can get rid of stuff and trash it. And just remember that computers only do what you tell them. And so when it does something that you didn't want it to do, you probably don't realize what you told it. Okay, we're going to start the official class in just a minute. But if you've joined in the last few seconds or last minute and you didn't get the message, please put into the chat something or up to 3 things you'd like to learn today. So I'm going to just quickly scan through and read out some of the things we're getting. Lindia says, anything is a help. Super. That means I'll please you by showing you one thing. Same thing with Susan. Laverne wants to know what is Google Doc and what can be done with it. Great. I'll show you that. Cindy's not used Google Docs. Excellent. We've got a lot of learners today, which is super. I mean, first time Google Docs people. So that's great. I'll start right at the beginning. Let's see. Oh, Vanessa wants to know how to type with your voice. Vanessa, make sure I show you how to do that. It's really easy. And the first time I did this class, I couldn't figure out how to do it. And it was because I was teaching in Safari, and Google and Safari don't like each other. So I always use the Chrome browser, which is Google's product. And I can show you how to dictate. Information on a free signature, e-signature. I'm not sure about that one. Vanessa, type with your voice. What is a Google Doc? Great. It's all new. Super. Now, let me ask this before we start. Anybody there, this is your very first GetSetUp class. You're just starting with GetSetUp. Fabulous. Now, I've got someone here. You are Netsrack. Okay. Can I put your name in there, or do you know how to rename yourself?
Oh yeah. You want me to rename myself?
If you wouldn't mind. Oh, well, no, you're okay. Is someone here with a W Netstrazak? I'm sorry. It's I'm looking through the wrong part of my glasses. If you can rename yourself, or I can, if you want, that's okay. And we'll get your first name, so I don't have to call you by an initial. I'm also welcoming Miriam LaRue, and I think that you're the last two to join. Fabulous to have you here. And people have been putting into the chat what they hope to learn today. Sue, okay, Sue, I'll rename you Sue, and that's just for this class. There we go. SUE, super. We got Sue. Okay. And Betty, I'm not sure I called you out, but welcome. I might have Betty. And is it Tagger? Very good, Tagger. So, and Pete, I didn't welcome you either, Peter. And Rachel. Oh, we got a bunch of new folks here. Those are all new names in the last 5 minutes. Welcome, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you all. And by the way, we have Joanna from GetSetUp support here. So if any of you are having problems with anything technical, like you can't figure out how to get yourself to mute or unmute, can't find a chat, Joanna can help you. Joanna can help you because she knows every device you could possibly be on, and she can tell you where to find everything in every device, right, Joanna? She's nodding, shaking her head. We always run into a device we've never had before. Oh, how do you find it? I don't know. And I asked before, let's see, how many new people? This is your first GetSetUp class, period. And we had Sue raise her hand. I'm so glad. And Rachel, fabulous. I'm so glad, so honored that you've all chosen my class as your first GetSetUp class. There's lots of stuff you can learn on GetSetUp, but it's all free. And I teach a whole lot of classes, and you are really welcome to join any of my other classes. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. Oops, wrong thing. And you should see something here that says Google Docs Basics. Does everybody see that? Okay, I'm getting some nods. If I get at least one nod, I know everybody can see.
Yes.
Fabulous. I'm Russ Eanes, your guide. I'm from Harrisonburg, Virginia. Whoops, that skipped ahead a little bit. Harrisonburg is in Western Virginia, the Shenandoah Valley, and it's a beautiful place. Lots of farmland around me. Harrisonburg is a small city with a James Madison University, or JMU, nice state university, about 20,000 students. Lovely town. I'm a writer, a walker, and a cyclist, and I am now actually also a full-time instructor with GetSetUp. So I do all those things. I formerly was a book publisher, where I love to help authors shape and form their ideas and put them in between the covers of a book. And I love the energy and the wisdom I collect from all of you. So I really appreciate working with older learners. And for anybody who joined after I said this, let me just repeat, there are no stupid questions this morning. Please ask. Either I'll pause and invite questions, or you can put your question in the chat, and I'll see if I can cycle around to those chat questions periodically. GetSetUp helps you learn useful things from people like you, so we can do wonderful things like write Google Docs to people and share them with folks and edit them with folks. We learn from each other. Ideally, we can see you and the cameras are on. You can request a recording of this after the class. You email help@getsetup.io. I'll make sure that email is in the class notes that come to you at the end. If you're joining us this morning by live stream, hey, the best way to participate is to join us and register for a class. Then we can see you. You can ask questions in live time. Lastly, GetSetUp is not paid to promote specific products. So we're not paid anything by Google to show you how to use Google Docs Our agenda this morning is to how to find and open Google Docs. And I'm so glad a lot of you, that's just the very first thing you want to learn. It's really simple. How Google Docs compares to Microsoft Word. They are very similar. Maybe I should say that Google Docs is a stripped down version of Microsoft Word because frankly, it looks a lot like it. I'll show you how to create a new blank doc or start from a template, and how to edit and format a document. And I didn't say it here, but I should be able to show you how to share it. Share a document with other people. Google Docs runs as a web browser app, while Word is a program that must be installed and runs primarily on Microsoft Windows or a Mac. So I have Word, it's installed on my computer. And when I edit Word documents, they are edited on my computer. I can choose to save them in Dropbox or some other kind of cloud service. However, Google Docs is completely in the cloud. It's web-based. You have to go into a browser to access it. The beauty of it is that everything you do in there is constantly saved. If you accidentally close the tab that you were working on that doc, it is saved. You can reopen it and find right where you were before. Google Docs is completely free. Word is part of Microsoft 365, which now operates as a subscription service for $69.99 a year. I think I pay $6.99 a month to have it. It comes with that whole suite of applications. You get Excel and PowerPoint and OneDrive and all sorts of stuff. I only just use Excel and Word for everything I do. Microsoft Word also has many more features than Google Docs. But to be frank with you, I'm a writer. I do my writing in Word, but honestly, most of the stuff that 95 or 99% of people do can be done by Google Docs for free. To get access to Docs, this is important. I forgot to ask you this, is that you have to have an account with Google. All right. Now, if you have a Gmail account, you have a Google account. You may not realize that. You might think, I've got a Gmail account. Well, actually, you have an account with Google. And if you don't have a Gmail or a Google account, you're going to have to get one before you can test out anything that I show you today. It's completely free, so no cost to get one. You can have more than one Google account. I actually have 5, which is probably about 2 more than I really want to have, but I have 5. So I'm a freelancer. I work for GetSetUp. I have personal stuff. So I have all these different ways that I have Google accounts. Anyway, we're going to be looking at a desktop or laptop browser version today. There is one you can get on your smartphone or your tablet. I rarely use it except perhaps to read something, because I find trying to navigate and type on a tablet or especially a phone to be really clumsy. I guess if you're over 55, you're all thumbs or something like that. My kids can do it like a whiz, but I can't do it. So I only use my laptop. We're going to start today by creating a new document in Google Docs. So with that, I'm going to go out of this, which is Google Slides. And you can see I'm in Chrome. These are all my Chrome tabs that I have set up here. Everybody see the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tabs open. And I'm going to show you 2 ways that I can get into Google Docs. I'm going to show you the most common way, which is to go into your Gmail account. So I go into Gmail right here like this. Let's see, let's do this one. I have 2 Gmail accounts. All right. And if you're in your Gmail, you go up here to the right where you have this thing we call the waffle. It's 9 dots. And you click on it, and it now brings up all of the Google apps. And there are 34 of them. They are all free. Now you can search, which, you can use Google Maps. I use Google Maps. It's really good. You can use Google News, Google Play. I'm not going to explain all these. YouTube is a Google app, believe it or not. Gmail is one of your Google apps. There's a Drive. Photos, I use Photos quite a bit. You can store photos and edit them there and get them printed from there. Very nice thing. But I'm going to keep scrolling down on my list until I come to this one that says Docs. So as soon as I click on that, like this, it opens a new tab, and you'll see upper left-hand corner. Hopefully everybody can see that. It says Docs. Everybody see that? Anybody? Since someone nods, let me know that you can see this in the upper left-hand corner. Very good. Okay. That tells me that this tab right here, I've now got 8 tabs open. I'm going to close one. In fact, I'll close 2. Of these 6 tabs, the one active one I'm in here is the Google Docs tab. So that means I'm going to be working on a Google Doc. By the way, I could go into other things here. I could go into slides or sheets or anything, but I'm in Google Docs. And this is what I see. Okay. So it gives me some options here. The first option is to start a new document. And I can begin by doing just a blank document. And I'm going to do that in just a moment. I call it the rainbow plus right here. It's an all Google. It's kind of a universal symbol that Google uses across its applications to let you know that's a way to do a new version of something. But let's say I already know what I want to do, and there might be a template for it. So it shows me right off the bat 6 templates, and there are more. So I've got 2 resumes. One's called Serif, one's called Coral. I've got a letter. And these are all templates where you'll go in and you'll just fill in the information. It'll have kind of like dummy information. You just type over that. And then you've got it formatted. You can do a project proposal, brochure. These are the ones they just kind of throw out at you. But if you want to see more, you go up here, up on the right, you'll see template gallery. Click on that. Now, as you scroll down through the screen, you'll see there's 5 different resumes and 5 different letter formats, including some that are personal. I guess you could create a recipe file. You make your own little recipe book. You could do that. Various types of work templates. So there's lots of, I've done this, by the way, I've done a family newsletter using a template because I saw it and I said, hey, I kind of like the way that looked. And I did it. So anyway, these are templates, and I'm going to skip over them today just because there's so many, but I'm just going to show you there's a variety, and frankly, go into Google Docs sometime and play around and look at those templates. You'll lose nothing by playing around with one and getting rid of it. Okay. So if I want to go back out of that template gallery, I click this arrow at the top left, get me out of that. Now here's the other thing you see. So you start a blank document or the templates. Down below it are a bunch of recent documents that I have used. Okay. There's one called Monday document. That's from last week's class. Bicycling for fun and fitness class document. These are all the different kinds of, these are all the different documents that I've used recently, and it's got them all here. These are the ones, by the way, that are owned by me. Okay. I can see other documents besides the ones that I own. The I own basically means I created them. If I click on it, I can see ones that are owned by anybody. That means if any, those are ones that are shared with me. So any documents that I've created that are owned by anyone, including me, I click on that. If it's not owned by me, those are just the ones that are shared with me. So if I click on that, now here's some that have been shared with me. They're not mine. If I did owned by anyone, it's mine plus the ones that people have shared with me. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to create a new document. So everybody can see I'm in the upper left-hand side of the screen. And a lot of you asked how to create a document. So here's how you do it. You just hit that big plus like that. And the screen changes into a nice, crisp, clean sheet of paper on your screen. Doesn't that look nice? Gives you a nice, simple place to work. I've got to mute someone here. I'm getting a little bit of feedback. Somebody needs to be muted. Well, I'm not finding who needs to be muted. Okay. Anyway, if you all wouldn't mind muting yourself. There we go. Got someone muted. Fabulous. The cursor is blinking in the upper left-hand corner of the doc. So start, top left. I can just start typing. And so we're going to call this test, T-E-S-T. And I'm going to make that a little bit bigger with a capital T-E-S-T. All right. So I put some information in. Now, before I go any further, I want to save this and name it. And here's one of the neat things that Google Docs does is it defaults by calling everything untitled documents. So if I close this tab now because I want to do something else and I forget about it, I come back, it'll just say untitled document. But if I want to give it a name, I click up in that field right there, and now it is highlighted in blue, a name. And it picked the name that was in the first line that I typed. So because I put test in the first line, oops, that was me leaning on my space bar. Ha ha ha. Go back up here. I'm going to name it test. Now it's got the name test. And here's the beautiful thing about any Google app that you're working in where you're creating files is it is saved forever. You don't have to hit save. You don't have to name it other than what I just did. And if I close this tab, I can find it and open it up again, and it's there. Now look what I did. I have to type in test. Okay, test. That's what I typed in. Hit carriage return. Okay. So that's what's great about any of the Google apps. It's stored out in the cloud. It's not in your computer. You can access it from anywhere. So let's say you go to your sister's house and you want to show her this nifty doc that you were working on that you type test into. You can open it on her computer. You have to just go into your Google account and open it up, and there it is. So that's one feature that I really like. Later, I'm going to show you the share feature. That's one of the other really big advantages that Google Docs has over Word. The first one is the fact that it constantly saves. If you're working in Word, you have to tell it to save, and you have to usually save as something. Word does the same thing. It'll also attempt to name it the thing that's in the first line. So I tend to write in the first line what I want to call it. I'll show you that share feature at the end. Now, let's say I want to, like, that's kind of hard to see. I want that piece of paper that I'm looking at to be a little bit bigger. So I click on view and I click on, didn't do it, print layout. Here, I'm sorry, right down here where it says zoom, right below here. This is called the ribbon. I'll show you that in a second. I want the ribbon to go, I want to see 150%. So I want that to be, now my piece of paper just got bigger on the screen. So, okay, now that's easier to look at. Now, as I show you the rest of the stuff, you'll be able to see it easier. So similarly to Word, Google Docs has a set of menus across here. There's a file menu with a whole bunch of stuff you drop down that you can do. I won't show you all these today, but you can look at any of them. An edit, very similar again to Word, or has some of the features that are in Word. A view menu, an insert menu, a format, so on and so forth. Tools. The person wanted to know how to dictate. Go to your tools menu, scroll down to voice typing, and click on. So I answered that one question right there. Tools menu to voice typing, and highlight it, click it. Then it will, I'm not going to do that today because I don't want to start typing everything I say to you, but that's how you do voice typing. Tools, voice typing right there. Okay. Those are the basic menus across the top, including a help. So if you're like, how do I do something? Click on the help, type it in here, and it'll show you stuff that you want to learn, how to do formatting. It'll give you all sorts of options. Then in this ribbon across here, there's lots of icons. And similarly to just about everything else you do in Word or Excel or Google Docs or Google Sheets, you've got an undo arrow and a redo arrow. So if you want to undo something and a mistake, what you did is a mistake and you want to undo it, you click on undo, it'll get rid of it right away. You've got a printer icon. And the way that Google Docs prints is it will, if you click on that, now it gives a little dialog box right here. It's kind of hard to see because all I have up there is just the word test. And it gives me a destination where I want to print it to, and then I can print from there. I'm not going to print. So I'm going to click cancel, but that's very simple to do. Then I just showed you that view. So I can change that. I want to make it 200%. It gets even bigger. It's a little bit too big for today. So let's do 150%. And here's where I can, I'm going to skip this next thing. That's how you can change a header or setting. We won't use that. We're going to skip over to font. So I don't like Arial, and you can see right here it says Arial. So let's change this to Montserrat's kind of the one I've been using lately. And maybe I want to make that a bigger font because it's the very first line. So then I can go over here to font size, and I can do a couple different things. One, I can click on the number that's showing the font size, and it gives me a drop-down menu of different sizes. So I can make that a 30 if I want to. So my header is now 30. Or another thing I can do is I can just go on each side of where it says 30, and I can do plus or minus. So now I'm down the next line. That's also going to be 30 because it doesn't change it until you tell it to change it. I actually know I want that to be smaller. So I'm going to keep on shrinking that. You can see my numbers are getting smaller, and I'm going to go down to 12. Okay. So now that means the next line is going to start at 12. Font size formatting stays until you change it. So every time you hit a carriage return, the next line keeps the same formatting as the one before it. Okay. This is a test. It is only a test. All right. Now I've typed some you all may remember that from the radio days. This is a test. This is only a test. So I put a little bit of a few very short sentences. Now let's say I want to make a numbered list. So I go out here to the right. I've got a numbered list, and I can do a bulleted list. So let's make a numbered list by clicking on this. Now my next line is going to be a numbered list. So this is a test. And the first test is going to be test of the document. And then it's going to be test of fonts. I'm just making stuff up to put in here, but it's a numbered list. And as long as I keep on hitting return, the next line comes up as a numbered list. Now let's say I want to underline something here. I want to underline that word fonts. So I go up there to fonts, and I go up here to the U with an underline. So U underline under the U. I now underline the U. Let's say I want to make this word only an italic. I go up here to the I for italic. This is only a test. And if I want to highlight this word test right here and make it bold, I go up here and hit B. So this is a test. It is only test of font. So these are just very simple ways to change some of the most common formatting. And this also, you can set the color of the text. So if I want it is to be in red, I go up here where there's a big black line under the A, and I change this. These are all the colors I can choose to red. That will work as long as I'm on screen. My printer only prints in black and white, so that won't do me any good to print it. But if you have a color printer, you can print your text in color. It's a good way to make something stand out. So I've showed you how to create a document, how to name it, and how to do some very basic fonts. We've gone through the menus, and I've shown you most of the things that you'll likely use in a ribbon. There's some more advanced stuff here I could show you, but I would encourage you to go in and create just a document like I've done and play around with it and see what it does. Now, let me show you one more little thing. Let's say I'm now on the third line. I'm like, actually, I don't have 3 bulleted points. I just have 2. So I don't want there to be a bullet. So if I hit the backspace, it gets rid of that. Now it leaves it in the cursor in the same spot it was before. So if I wanted to go back justify left, I'd hit backspace again. So now I'm justified left. And you know, the old way you test a typewriter, you just say, these are the times that try men's souls. Okay, that's how we used to type into typewriters. You know, I remember that 40 some years ago when you were trying to hit a typewriter. That was one of the kind of standard lines you could put into your typewriter. Let me pause here and ask if there are questions about anything that I've shown you so far.
Could you show us how to do the numbers again?
Sure. So let's say I want another numbered list. So I hit carriage return, and I now want to do a numbered list again, a new numbered list. So I go back up here to these icons, and the one that says here says numbered list.
Numbered, okay.
There's also one that's bulleted list. but it's right there. Joyce, have you been in a class of mine before?
Just one.
I recognize your glasses. Welcome back, Joyce. Good to see you again. Hit numbered list. Now here's the thing. It started a new numbering. And in Word, you can decide whether you want it to be a new numbered list or not. You can continue on the numbers. I don't know how to do that in Google Docs, but I can know how to do it in Words. I'm going to have to learn how to do that in Google Docs. But there should be a way that you can change your numbered list to continue the numbering from before. Sometimes you have a numbered list and you want to interject something below it and then continue on with your numbered list. More questions about anything I've shown you so far?
Russ,
yes.
This is Josie.
Hi, Josie.
I went on tools and I can't find that. Is it something I should be doing it? Voice?
What browser are you using? Like Google browser,
Google.
Chrome, using Google Chrome?
No, Google.
There's a couple options about why it's not letting you do voice typing, and one of the things might be that your computer is not set up to do it. Now, by setup, I mean it's not getting permission to use the computer microphone. That might be one thing. Like I said, when I couldn't do it a couple weeks ago, it's because Safari didn't give permission to Google to use my microphone, is what it was. Google, this is a Google Chrome browser I'm in, it defaults to allow my computer to use it.
I have a question. What are the symbols next to the underlined A? The one which is, yes, that one, and the next three.
Okay, I'll show you those real quickly. This one is a painting. And so if I want to make this word right here a color, yellow, I can do that. And that is now painted the whole color. It's kind of like a highlighter. That's the way I like it. It's a highlighter. This one is a link. And it's inserting a link. And let's say that you're writing a document and it won't work if someone prints this, obviously, but if they're reading it on a browser, you can insert the URL from a website there. So I'll show you how I can do it. I can, let's say I want this word times to be a hot link to something. So I go up here and I click on insert a link. And now I can paste a link to anything on my browser. So if I go out here and let's say, okay, here's a fun one. I put in New York Times. So I have a New York Times subscription. And if you click in this window up here where it says nytimes.com, everybody see that? I copy that, Control C on my computer. And I go back to that thing and I right click and I paste that in. So now I've applied that. Now that word, look how it happened. It now became blue and underlined. And that means if a person is reading this on their screen, they can click on it and it will open that NewYorkTimes.com link. So that's what that little link does right there. This right here is a way you can add a comment to that. I can add a comment and over here, it's kind of hard to see, isn't it? Because it went off the right side of my screen. I'll make this a little bit smaller so that you can see the comment box over here. You know, I can say, oh, really? You know, if I'm someone reading this, I could put a comment in there. Oh, really? These are the times that tries men's souls? You got to be kidding. And now the word souls has been highlighted to let me know there's a comment there. And this last one is you can insert an image. So if I want to insert a photo into the doc, which is a very handy thing to do. Let's say you're doing a little travel log about a trip you took. You can choose a photo. I'm selecting a photo of a bicycle here and I click insert it. And it puts the photo into my document. Isn't that fun? I tell people, I do a class on writing a memoir. One of the simplest things you can do in a memoir is you use a photo as a writing prompt. And I show people how to do that. And you could take the photo and put it in there. Like I have a photo of myself. I'm like 4 years old on a swing set with my brothers and sister. And I tell the whole story of that swing set, and I could put the swing set photo in there and then tell the whole story below it. So that's what that little thing is right there.
I have a question.
Yes.
I have Gmail on my phone, but I don't have it on my tablet and my laptop. So can I some kind of way transfer the Gmail from my phone to my laptop and my tablet, or do I have to open up another account? How do I do that?
No, what you do is, so if you've got your Gmail account on your phone, that is your Gmail account and it exists out there in the cloud and you're accessing it on your phone. So if you have a tablet, you can go into whether it's an Android or an iPhone or iPad, you can download that Gmail app onto that device, and then you will be able to access it there. If you're on a browser, you'll go into you just type in Gmail and it'll pull up option to go into your Gmail account on a browser. And then you can see your Gmail and you can see any of these apps that I'm showing you. So those are all ways to that account doesn't just exist on your phone. It actually exists in the cloud and you can access it on any of those devices. Does that make sense?
So I go into my phone. And what did you say I do now?
Well, no, if you're seeing your Gmail on your phone, if you want to see it on your tablet, you would have to download the Gmail app onto your tablet. Or you would have to go into a browser on your laptop or your desktop and go into it. See what I'm doing here, this is Google Chrome I'm in, that's the browser. And I went in and I just opened my Gmail account. I have two open here. I opened this Gmail account through the browser and it brought up my Gmail. And then I used that to access over here in this waffle, the Google Doc.
How do you download it to other devices?
So let's say I'm working on this document right here on my laptop and I want to see it on my phone. On my laptop, on my phone, I will have to have the Google Drive app. And if you have the Google Drive app, you can see anything that's you have stored in your Google account on that Google Drive account. So you click on that app on your phone and it will show you that you have a Google doc and you click on that doc and it'll open it up for you. More questions about anything I've shown you about how creating and doing basic formatting?
I have another question.
Yes.
When you were speaking of the templates and you said that it has its own like personal information, like dear whoever, whatever. And you can, of course, edit that to your personal, but can you go into the body of the letter and change? Okay.
Yep. What it has there is kind of a set body, and I'd have to open one up to look and see what's in it. And then you can just delete that. You can start typing in it and then delete what's in there later. What it does is it sort of sets the formatting for the body.
Okay.
So it's
Russ,
yes.
I have a document in front of everything which says you have a new booking with Sandy Seabrook for April 5th. Now I cannot get rid of it. I don't think it's something which you put in. Like I can't see anything you're doing except the outside.
Yeah, I have that too.
Well, that's because I was showing my Gmail account. Oops, sorry. Now there's the document again. Everybody see that document?
Okay. Yeah. Now it's
sorry
good.
about that. I got stuck in my Gmail there for a second. This is and again, I made it a lot smaller because I wanted to show you that comment bubble over here. And in a second, when I show you about sharing, you'll come to understand what the comments are. Because when you share this document with someone else, and you'll see this, that person can have the level of viewer, commenter, or editor. And if they're a commenter, they can't edit the document, but they can comment on anything that's in there. So let me make this big again so it's easier to read. There we go, back to test. And I'm going to delete that photo because it's just taking up so much space in the document. Just all I did was highlight the photo and hit delete with my keyboard. Very easy. Let's see. And more questions.
I have a question.
Yes, Denise.
This is Denise. Okay, so this is a Google Doc, and I get that. Is it better to go through Google Chrome even when you have an Apple computer? Because I usually go through Safari. So Google Chrome is the better application to use the Google Doc stuff.
Not necessarily. Honestly, I have a Mac and I prefer to use Safari, so you can do it in Safari.
Okay.
The only hiccup I got when using Safari was discovering that it wasn't letting me use the voice typing. And I think I just I needed to go in and set up a setting in Safari to give Google permission. I was in the middle of a class when I discovered it and I didn't have time to go fumbling around finding that setting.
Okay, so are you saying Safari will give me the ability to set up that in my settings?
It should give you that. I can't guarantee that 100%, but there's no reason why it shouldn't. Each of these kind of little kingdoms, which, Macintosh and Google and Microsoft, they put up little firewalls between each other. And it doesn't mean they're inaccessible. They just make it a little bit safer, I guess, is what they say they're doing. Personally, I think they're just trying to hassle people a little bit because they would, Google would prefer I use Chrome over Safari. I use Safari on my Mac because Safari has a lot of stuff that's integrated on my Mac in it, like all my passwords and everything.
Correct.
Google will also save all your passwords for you, but Safari saves them, and they also goes to my iPhone and my iPad. So it's a little bit. It's prefer. Honestly, I use Safari all the time.
I was going to say it's a little bit more interchangeable because of the fact that it's mixed, like it does share information with those tools. Yeah. Okay, one more question before I turn it back over to the rest. If the Safari has a better, I guess it has a better chance of not being hacked or whatever. So if you use the Google Doc, is your stuff more accessible to others, like Safari? No. Okay.
No, Google's very secure.
Okay.
We do a class on how to manage your affairs using Google Sheets, and what that basically means is you put all your bank accounts and other stuff. It's for your children. I mean, I have that. I'm 64 years old. I'm not planning on dying, but I do have a spreadsheet with all the important information for my kids. And one place to put that is in. You can do a Google Sheets is a little easier for that because it's a spreadsheet, the way it kind of lays things out. And you can put all that information, your passwords, and then you share it with them, and maybe give them permission. Don't give them permission to edit because you wouldn't want them to accidentally edit the password. That would mess it up. So you just give them permission to view it. And that way, if they ever need it, they can get in. It's a very smart thing to do if you're older.
Okay, thank you.
Russ. Oh,
yes.
And Shirley.
Hi, Shirley.
I was wondering, I have used Microsoft Word. Do I need to also learn how to use Google Docs? They seem really similar.
They're very similar. I use both, and I know how to use both. You don't have to learn it. Probably the main advantage that Google Docs has is the ability to share with other people. And if somebody, I told someone in the class last week about this, and they got kind of bothered that I didn't show them how to do it, but I don't have time. But you can have a team of people in different places and workplaces use this. And as a publisher, I used to use this with a team because everybody was somewhere else. There was only a few people in a central office. You can all edit the same document if everyone's got permission. You can actually see that stuff happening live. And probably we'll do an advanced class and we'll show you how to collaborate and use documents. That's one of its advantages. I'll show you something real quick here. Laverne, I know you had one more question, so please save your question.
Okay.
You can download you can go both ways. I can make this a Word doc, and I can export it as a Word doc and then open it in Word and edit it. Or I can import a Word doc into here and edit it here. And the way you export it is you go up here to File, Download, and see, because I'll show everyone that again. Go to File, Menu, and then down to Download. And notice that I have different options, like how I can download this to my computer. And one of them, the very first one, is I can download it as a Microsoft Word document, which is DocX. I can also save it as a PDF if I want to, but Microsoft Word. So if I click on that, it will download this, and then I can go to Word, go into my downloads, find this file and open it, and it will open it as a Word doc. So that's one. And that is something I actually do because every now and then I'll be collaborating with someone. I still, work with people that are publishing books, individuals, and they'll send me a Google doc and I want to open it and edit it in Word because I just wanted to do it that way. So that's an advantage. The other way, if you want to take an existing Word document and open it in Google Docs, what you would do is you would put that Word document into your Google Drive. And then from your drive, you open it and it will default to open it into Google Docs. So it looks like this. So I'll go back over here. This is you all see my Gmail account again. I go up here to this little waffle and there's a thing down here called Drive. That's kind of my Google storage, everything. And if I click down here, you'll see I've got all sorts of documents. And let's see if I've got one that's just a plain old Word document. And oh, rats, I didn't set one up here. If I set up a document, a Word doc, and put it in the drive here to store it, if I click on it, it will default to open it. That's kind of an advanced topic. I guess that's why I probably didn't set it up for you, but it's a pretty easy way to open it. Now, keep in mind, Shirley, I've now got two versions of it. There's the Word doc sitting there in my drive or wherever, and now I've opened it in Google Docs. So if I edit it, I've got to then and export it back to Word. I'm going to now have two versions in Word. So you have to be careful what you're doing with it. I'm going to go back.
Okay.
I'm going to get out of this and go back and show you the test thing I was working on. That was one thing I was going to show you was how to download this as a Word doc or as a PDF. Let me show you all how to share, and then we'll just have the last 5 or 10 minutes with some questions. So to share this is, again, one of the beauties of working in any of these Google apps is that they make it very easy to collaborate with other people. So if I click on share, big blue button in the top right-hand corner, it now loads a dialog box where I can add the names of people. Okay. And you can see there's me. But say I want to do another one, I could do Russ. Okay. Russ.eanes@gmail. So I'm going to share it with Russ. And I can type a message in there and say, here's the doc I was talking about earlier today. And before I send it to them, very important, don't forget this, I've got to set what kind of setting level of viewing I want that person to have. So it defaulted to say that russ.eanes@gmail.com, the person who owns that email account, is an editor. That means they can open it and they can edit it and change anything they want. And that saves it in the cloud, and it will be changed when I open it next time. So it allows them to change it. It's automatically saved and manipulated. So if you have some reason that you don't want to change anyone to alter that, don't give them editor permissions. There are two other options. They can be a viewer, which means they can just see it. Or they can be a commenter. And you remember I showed you earlier how to do a comment? They then have permission to go in and insert comments. And I've worked with an editor on that, someone who was editing my book. And she had permission to edit it so she could change things. But she also sometimes just edited comments. Rather than changing the document the way she thought it would be, she would say, like, I don't understand what you're saying here. She would put that as a comment in the margin so I could see it. And it's a good way to either express a comment because you don't want to change it, or if you only give that person permission to comment on it, they won't be able to edit it at all. So again, they can be a viewer, they can see it, can't do anything. They can be a commenter, they can see it, and they can enter little comment bubbles, or they can be an editor. So I'm going to give Russ.Eanes, just the viewer, permission. And when I hit send down here, now they will get an email and they will get that document in it. And when they open that up, they'll be right here and they can then look at it on their browser. Can't change anything in it because I made Russ just a viewer. All right, so we've gone through a whole bunch of stuff today. Let me pause and ask for questions on anything I've shown you so far or something that I didn't show you that you'd like to see.
Okay, Russ, I have another question.
Yes.
Laverne, I think you just kind of answered it a few minutes ago, but like when you're in Word and you want to share your document, you have to go to your email, do compose, and send it. So are you saying in Google Docs, you can share it straight from Google Docs? You don't have to go through your email and all that.
That's right. That's right. And you know what's interesting? I shared that. So if I go over to that same Google account that I was in when I was sharing it, and I go to sent, it didn't show it. Well, I'm not sure why it did that. Anyway, I thought I might show it in my email. They'll get it as an email, but you're right. I don't have to take that extra step of going into my email account and attaching it.
Okay.
That's another thing was just so easy.
Okay, thank you.
In Google Doc, they have the DocuSign. Is that in that little area as well?
DocuSign, that is a good question. I haven't used DocuSign in Google Docs. Let's see. I don't know where that tool is. Does anybody know where the DocuSign is? I thought it would have been under tool. I'm sorry, I can't answer that one.
Okay, thank you.
That's okay.
This is Emily, Russ.
Yes.
How do I add another person on my share folder with the editor?
Okay, so there's a couple ways you can do it. If there's somebody that's a contact of yours and they're in your Google contacts, you can do it that way. Usually by putting their name in, Google Contacts it will find them in your Google Contacts. And by the way, Google Contacts, if you're up here in your Google Apps, you go scroll down here, you can see that Contacts is one of the apps right there. It's got a little blue symbol, and that will pull up all the contacts that you have associated with that Google account. That's one way you can do it. Or you can just put in the Gmail or the email address, make sure you type it in correctly, and then it will go out to them.
Thank you.
Russ, this is Rachel. This is my first class and I'm really enjoying it and I've learned a lot. When I'm scanning a document, how do I get it to go to a file in Google Docs if I'm creating a new file?
So let's say you've got a document that looks something like I've got here and you put it on your scanner.
Yes.
That is a good question. I don't know how to do that. There is something called OCR or optical character recognition where you can, and it's possible that Google has one of those that will take a document and it will recognize everything on it and it will convert it into like a Word document or something like that. But I haven't done that recently. I used to do that in my work. We would sometimes take author manuscripts, really old stuff, and we would put them on an OCR, but I haven't done that in years. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to convert it into something that Google Docs or Word can see. But you have to have that thing called OCR or optical character recognition to take a scanned document and make it into an editable document.
Okay.
Does that make sense, Rachel?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
Different scanners can do that, and it's probably, I'm not going to try to explain hypothetically how it should work because I might be wrong. But that's a very good question.
Well, I'll try it and see what happens.
Okay.
Thank you.
More questions?
Yeah, I have another question.
Yes.
Yeah, it's another class, but I know you said that you teach Google Sheets also, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so is Google Sheets easier than Excel?
It is. It is. Okay. I say that Google Sheets is like flying a Piper Cub instead of flying a 747.
Okay.
Excel is very powerful. It's a great program. I use it all the time. But Google Sheets, again, kind of like Google Docs, probably gives people, 95% of people, most of what they need. And I don't have a Google Sheets class assigned this week, but there should be one next week.
Okay, good.
More questions. We have a couple minutes before we close. Then let me
do you have a follow-up to this class?
I don't have like an advanced class, but I thought of doing that. One thing I would enjoy doing in advanced class is showing people how you can collaborate together on a document in live time. So if I were to share this document with two of you, if you gave me your email address, and I'm not asking you to do that, but if you'd given me your email address and I'd put it in the share, you would have gotten it. And if you'd opened it, you could have started editing it. And I could show everybody how you could see all those changes happening on screen, and it should tell you who's doing it. It's kind of fun. I've worked with collaborative groups when I was a publisher where we would plan an event or something like that. And we would all kind of put our ideas in there and see what was being suggested. That would be a thing. So Lydia, when you get your email following up this class and you have a chance to offer suggestions for classes, put that suggestion in. I am going to note that because actually we could do that for several of the Google applications in live time. There, you know what, however, Lydia, there's a class called, actually there is a class called Collaborating with Google Apps. And, you know, they might show you that there. So look for that class and attend it.
Okay.
They might show you how to do that. It just dawned on me, they might show it there.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm going to,
Russ,
yes.
This is Emily. After I changed my document, I couldn't find the save icon from file. Is any other way besides clicking the control?
You were looking over here to see how you could save it?
Yes.
You don't need to do that. It's automatically saved.
Is it automatic saved?
It's automatically saved. I mean,
good.
Yeah, it's automatically saved. That's the beauty of it. You don't have to worry. If I were to close this tab right now, I could reopen it and it's all there. That's what I like about it. It saves it for you. I'm going to show you one last thing here. I'm going to come back to this slide. These are my related classes. I don't do this, but someone does. Introduction to Google. Oh, Vicky does Introduction to Google Apps. This is the one, creating collaboration using Google tools. So that might be a class where they could show you in live time how to do that. I do a Google Sheets. It's not this week. I do a question called 6 questions every author should ask. I'm a former publisher, so I do some classes on how to self-publish. And this is the email you'll get where you can give feedback. I love feedback. If there's stuff that you think I should do next time or to improve my teaching, please tell me. I always want to make my teaching better. I love feedback from learners, and that's where you can also suggest a class. However, I have taken note of this question about how to show collaboration live, and I'll find out if they do that in that collaboration class. That way I'll know for sure next time. You've been a great class, and I've enjoyed being with you all and getting to know some of you. And I'm really glad that some of you chose to come to this class, your first GetSetUp class. There's lots of great stuff you can learn with GetSetUp, and we really enjoy having you part of the community. And Denise wants to know if there's a remedial session. Denise, come back to this class next week. I've had people take some of these classes 3 times. No problem.
I'll be back next week.
And Denise, don't forget, Denise, you can email help@getsetup.io and they can send you a video that you can watch this class again.
Yeah.
The beauty of the video is when I'm showing you something, you can pause the video and practice. I have people sometimes that log into my classes on their phone or iPad. So their Zoom is on their phone or iPad, and they're practicing on the side of their computer. That's a really good idea. So
can you repeat what you just said?
Yes.
About the video?
Yes, you will get a link in the notes at the end or you can write this down now, help@getsetup.io, but I'll send that to you. So if you didn't get it right, and say, I would like a video of the class, what's this called? Google Docs Basics. Please send it to me. And as soon as this video is prepared, because I'm recording it, they'll send it to you, and you can a link and you can see it. And then, like I said, the beauty is you can pause me while I'm talking and practice on your computer. I do that. I take lots of classes online myself, and I pause them sometimes. And that's great because I can now practice it, and then it can hit the live again. So unfortunately, you can't pause me in real time other than to say, hey, I got a question, Russ.
I don't think she's going to even have to ask for it. It's going to come later on this afternoon or the next day.
There you go.
Oh, I've never seen that. I've never seen it. And I tried to type it in and it didn't work.
I get them all the time. I get them after I take a class, the next day or so, I get the video.
There you go. Oh. Actually, I do too, Denise, but I'm the instructor. So I thought it was just coming to me because I was the instructor.
No, I get it too, or maybe they think I just need it more.
Very good. Well, one way or another, you can see this. And when all else fails, call the phone number. I heard the people on the helpline are awesome. Because I've heard them tell about how they enjoy helping folks out. So we're out of time, unfortunately, and I'm going to have to say goodbye to all of you. Hope you have a great afternoon, or if you're in the West Coast, it's still morning. Have a good rest of the morning. If you're in Europe, it's evening, and have a good evening in Britain or wherever you are.
Thank you.
And
bye, everybody.
See somebody in another class.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Enjoy. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.